Hey everybody, in today's episode, Caroline and I sit down with Stacy Decicco. She is the Executive Director of the United Way of the Mid-Ohio Valley. We talk about a lot of the programs that they offer to our community, and in particular we talk about one of the fundraisers that they have that's coming up soon. It's called Laugh United. It's a comedy event, so I hope you enjoy. Stacy, tell me a little bit about your background and kind of what led you into the executive director role at the United Way.
Okay, well, I spent, almost 20 years as an early childhood educator. That's what my educational background is in, daycare centers, preschools. And then I'd actually taken a couple of years out of the workforce, just some family situations that had arisen. And when it was time to re-enter the workforce, there was a job opportunity with the Gabriel Project. And it was a small regional nonprofit, that's what the position was. And it seemed like it made sense to me. I was an early childhood specialist, so that was my first segue into nonprofit. And I was probably on day 3 when I absolutely fell in love with the entire concept of nonprofits. So I was there for about a year and had the opportunity to come over to United Way as the Community Impact Coordinator, and spent about 10 months in that position and had the opportunity to move in as the executive director, and that's been just a little over 3 years ago.
Okay. So, yeah, the nonprofit world, especially someone like you who didn't have a long history in it, I think is good because it brings some different background to it. Myself being on the board level of some nonprofits, it's always good to have that varying experience board level because you can get kind of bogged down with maybe just people from the business community or maybe just nonprofit people. And I think a good mix of that is good. And I know at your level as an executive director, it's good to have different backgrounds because you can bring different experiences to the table.
That breadth on the board is really important for us. And I think for myself, the background that I was bringing to the table was really important because it kept me, having been a small business owner for a lot of years, it kind of kept me centered. It keeps me from being too entrenched in program and too entrenched in mission, which can sometimes be deadly. So I think I do bring a nice balance to the table for this.
Yeah, and you guys stay very busy.
We're pretty busy.
So yeah, that background probably helps you stay organized and
a little bit
and do that. So for those that don't know or aren't familiar, who maybe just see the words United Way, what exactly is the United Way and their mission?
So our mission is to really to impact the community, and we impact in kind of 4 core areas. It's going to be health, income stability, education, and safety net. And safety net are going to be those areas of emergency needs. Those are going to be shelter, food, the things we need to take care of before we can even move up that that triage. United Ways are a little different from other foundations in that we raise money every year, and we give that money away every year, and we start all over again. And if somebody described that to me when I was taking the job, I might have backed away. It's kind of a perpetual hamster wheel. But sometimes people say, gosh, it seems like you're always raising money, but that's actually true because we're not giving away something that's interest accrued on endowment. We're actually giving away the money that was raised in this community, investing it right back in this community, and starting that process all over again every year.
Yeah, so and your social media presence is good. And I think probably part of that, if I'm correct, is to show people where their money's going.
It is. It's important for us, for the community. I mean, those are community dollars every day that we're spending and investing. So it's important that we let people see what we're doing. And really, if you talk about what's the drill down mission of United Way, it's building strong communities.
Right. And there's, as a small business owner myself and involved in the nonprofit world, and part of the reason I do that is I didn't really know exactly what that was the mission, but a stronger community is better for everybody.
Absolutely.
So what, the organizations that you fund, when they go out and help people, for whatever it is, put them, even if it's, eventually to a point where they're self-sufficient if they weren't before, they're employees for small businesses or large businesses, they're paying taxes. It really is a big cycle, and it does help everybody.
I'm glad you said that. A lot of times people, I think, miss that a real impact of a strong nonprofit ecosystem is economic development in a community. And sometimes we can overlook that.
More people may go to a restaurant. More servers get tips, and they in turn spend money in the community. And things like that.
And strong communities look vibrant and enticing when there's an industry on the outside of our community shopping around and looking at 3 mirror communities and saying, where do I want to drop down roots? They want to drop down where people are strong, people are healthy, communities are thriving. So we are very important to economic development.
Yeah, and I've been impressed just being in the nonprofit world from afar at people like you that put so much time. It's a love affair.
It is.
It's not, to be a nonprofit person, especially at the director role, it's definitely going to be a love affair with what you're doing because you don't have hours necessarily.
Yeah. But we have a lot of hours.
They're very fluid. It's not a 9 to 5 job.
Fluid.
Weekends, it just depends on what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the local United Way and what footprint you guys serve.
Okay. So we're a 10-county footprint. So we hit 8 counties in West Virginia and swing over to Ohio for 2 counties. We have all of Washington County now. That's a little bit new for us. We had a merger there with the Marietta United Way. So we have the entirety of Washington County, and we actually have the entirety of Athens County now. We've been, that's kind of a new piece for us, a new territory that we're going to be conquering, I guess, over the next year. Mm-hmm. But you're going to see us really moving with some increased activity and support in the Athens County area as well now. Cool.
You talked about raising funds and giving it away, so let's talk about the raising part. What are the different sources of income for the United Way?
So sometimes I just pick up quarters on the street because when we say every dollar matters, it really is every dollar matters. One of the most humbling things I think for me is to open the mail sometimes because I get checks that are $10 checks and $20 checks, and when I look at the name of that donor, I pull up the donor history. It may be this sweet little lady in Parkersburg who's been sending us a $10 check for 45 years. Right. It's just really humbling. Sometimes it's retired folks that have been in a workplace campaign. So truly, I would pick up quarters in the street. It's every dollar counts. But some of our broad pieces are workplace campaigns. Mm-hmm. So that's still a real core and backbone of who we are. We go into large, medium and large employers and make giving accessible to those employees. And so we're able to walk in that door because we're United Way and represent 150 organizations across the Mid-Ohio Valley and actively fundraise for them. Folks can even designate where they want that gift to go, and then they can do payroll deduction. So workplace campaigns are really core for us. Of course, we have a really strong residential giving campaign, really strong group called our Pace Setters. That's our leadership givers who give at least at the $500 level every year. And that's a really core piece of what we raise. And we actually have a little bit of a new program that has rolled out just in the last year, kind of a soft rollout last year. It's called our Small Business 365. And it's where we reach out to so many small businesses in a community like ours. And so obviously I can't come into your agency and say, I want you to run a workplace campaign. Right. I think we joked about that before we were going on air because then you could have jeans day and just wear jeans every Monday and pay yourself $5. Right. And we know that the capability for small businesses is different. I mean, sometimes you have an entire family that's making up the staff. So a workplace campaign is not really a good match, but we know that it's an important voice in our community. So to engage them, we've developed the Small Business 365 where we ask small businesses to basically give $1 a day. We can build them quarterly, annually, whatever they like to set that up as. We come in, we put a decal in the window, and something new this year, we have a brand new website we're really excited about. We're going to be creating portals for our small business partners on that portal. We're going to be giving them social media attention, and then actually hoping to maybe roll out some events that are just unique to our small business owners. So while I have you here today, we'd love to make your agency the very first Small Business 365 in the insurance category. So you would be the first insurance business to come on board with us this year. Do it. We don't want to put you on board. I hate to put them on the spot. I mean, I actually love to put them on the spot right here on camera, but yeah.
Well, that would have to be less team lunches and all that stuff, right? Now,
team lunches must be a big deal around here.
It is a big deal. We probably talk about lunch every day.
Well, I understand that. So how about this? I'm going to get some materials out to you next week and let you take a look at that. But
I'll commit to you right now.
You're going to commit right now?
I will.
Heck yeah. Well, that's exciting. All right. You're the first guy in.
Small businesses get hit up a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just is what it is. I'm not knocking it. I understand fundraising and sports and all this, schools and stuff, but I've always said, whether it's the transportation business I have or the insurance agency, I listen to everybody, but it's just got to mean something. If it's buying uniforms, I'm not. Again, sometimes I will, but
sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't for everybody. What's awesome about the Small Business 365 is we're going to constantly give you the same access that we give to a large workplace campaign. So we're going to be looking at those community needs assessments we're doing every year. We're going to really put a finger on the pulse of what is the greatest need in the community, and then we're going to take your dollars and apply those to the greatest need and be able to follow up and give you impact. So you'll actually know where those dollars made a difference in the community.
Let's do it.
Well, that was easy. I should have asked for more.
And it's cool that you know it's actually going somewhere good.
Yeah, I can see where
it's super transparent. So.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's some of it does matter as to what it is, in my opinion, as a small business owner, because you got to be careful. I mean, you can donate yourself to death, and
you could donate yourself right out of business. Honestly.
Right. So things that are of value, then I'm on board.
Well, I'm glad you're on. I should have told him it was like small business $8.95 or something. That was too easy. No, we're great. We know you're a great supporter in the nonprofit world. So
those are some income sources. Do you have focus areas on funding?
We do. So we conduct a community needs assessment every 2 years. And we go back and look at those 4 focus areas of health, income stability, education, and safety net. And then we use that community needs assessment to really determine where do the allocations need to go. So, is it that we need to be putting 30% towards health and 20% towards education, or is that going to flip-flop? The interesting thing is you and I and Caroline, we can all gather around this table and say what we think the community needs.
Right.
But this is the piece that's always missing. We'll all gather around as stakeholders and community leaders and let's talk about hunger and food insecurity. But who we often forget to invite to the table is the person. Yeah,
right.
We forget to bring to the table the person who goes to the food pantry. Same thing happens when we talk about homelessness. We don't have anyone at the table who has firsthand experience. So the community needs assessment, we were very targeted. We were blessed to be able to do that with WV Medicine the last round, and so we were able to really push that out into the community to the point that there were folks who could not take the community needs assessment online. We needed to have paper forms. There were people who could not complete the paper forms because of literacy barriers, so we had to have someone to do that. But it was important for us that we capture that information in a really broad, overarching way. So when we come back in, and folks who are real data junkies could extrapolate all that data for me, that's how we derive. And so right now, our funding allocations are 30-20, 30-20 split over those. That may change in 2 years, is that we feel the undercurrent of the community change.
You used the word extrapolate, so I guess you're a data junkie.
I'm kind of a data junkie. I can't always extrapolate, but I sure like the bottom line when it's extrapolated.
Right. Yeah, so the community does change, and I think our community's changed a lot as far as needs. I work with another nonprofit that deals with homelessness, and it's just a fluid thing. So keeping a pulse on what's real, not just what people in a meeting room are saying.
Yeah, not just our perception behind closed doors.
Is a good idea. You have several initiatives, I think, that are of service to the community. The 211 initiative is one I see a lot. Tell me a little bit about it.
I'm glad you're seeing that. 211 is a United Way product. It's nationwide. It's zip code driven as far as the data. It's an information referral system. So just for fun here on your podcast, we could actually pick up your phone and dial 211, and you could say, I'm looking for a food pantry. I live on this street. What would be my closest one on Tuesday? So sometimes it's easy for people to go, oh, it's for that sector of people with high needs, meeting basic needs. Well, yes, but you also can pick that up and say, I'm looking for after-school care in maybe the Williamstown area, and I don't know what my options are. So let's take that a step further. Let's say that you have a senior mother who lives in Spokane, Washington. You've been out there with her. She had knee replacement surgery. You've got to come back to work. She's doing great, but she's got to get to PT, and she can't drive yet. Well, if you were living in our community, you would say, oh, it's FaithLink. That's who we call. But in Spokane, Washington, you don't necessarily know that. Now, you can Google search it, but sometimes the need you have is much broader than a Google search. Sometimes it's bigger than an internet search. You really need that conversation with someone.
Someone's there.
Yeah, someone is there. So United Way has created and curates information and referral databases nationwide. So anytime you dial 211, there's also text and chat options. So you can actually text your zip code to like an 898-211. You're going to get a real live person. We cover for 15 counties right now out of our office, so we cover beyond our footprint. So if you call during the day, you're actually going to get one of our staff. If you call at night, you're going to get a call center that has access to our database that was hand-selected to be 211 delivery service.
Yeah, so they're familiar with the region.
Absolutely.
That's cool. So there's a lot of fundraising events in addition to the other sources you talked about. I think we could probably today get into the one that's coming up.
Yeah, one's coming up really soon.
Soon, which is the comedy event.
It is Laugh United. It's our biggest event of the year. Our campaign, our annual campaign, technically closes the last day in March. So Laugh United always comes in April, and it's become our signature event to come out and hopefully celebrate a great campaign this year. It's looking very strong at this point. And so we have a huge lineup coming in this year that we're really, really excited about. So it's on April 17th in Vienna at the Grand Point.
Yeah, and the headliner is John Reap,
Yeah.
who I saw many years ago before he was, well, it seems like he's always the same person, but before he was big.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he's going to be great.
You did well.
He's
a funny
going to be
guy.
great. Last year that was a sellout. We're expecting another sellout event this year.
Yeah, and there's something a little different. You have a magician.
We do. We have Drew Murray coming out of Columbus. He's going to do strolling magic during the VIP, kind of the happy hour time there, and then he's actually going to be opening our show and helping us to reveal our campaign success this year.
Now, in the description or comments, however you're consuming this, whether it's YouTube or on the podcast, we'll link to the. Is there a ticket site?
Super.
Is
There
it a United
is.
site?
You can actually go right on our website to uwamov.com, pick up our events, and you can link right to the ticket purchase from there.
We'll do that for sure. Well, I'm going to hand it over to Caroline because Caroline was part of your organization when she was in high school.
She was.
So she has some firsthand knowledge of the volunteer side of things. So I'm going to hand it over to her.
Thank you. Well, first, just tell me about the student-led board and how that came to be.
Sure. So the first year that I was working as community impact coordinator, we decided that we would do a student service day, and so we had some really low goals for ourselves there. We thought maybe we could get 50 high school students to come out and do this. And this was back in 2016 in the spring. So we put it out there. We had 2 or 3 projects lined up, and we flushed it out just a couple of high schools in the area. We had 560 kids sign up and get involved in that day. So we were overwhelmed. I mean, we were like to the fourth quarter, coming up with projects and matching to agencies. So we put those kids out in the field that day, and they did the community service. And it was an exhausting day, and it was kind of like herding wet cats, and the whole day was over with. But that was when the magic actually happened. I thought the magic was that morning when we had 500 plus kids out. The magic started that evening because we started getting texts and messages and phone calls and Facebook messages, both from the students and their parents.
Oh, that's awesome.
And from the agencies saying, wow, that was amazing. Mm-hmm. We realized a couple of things in that day. We realized that high school students don't always have great opportunities for engagement in the community. Mm-hmm. Our schools, I guess, they're really busy. I mean, the curriculum's a challenge. Our schools are just facing so many challenges that sometimes the community service opportunities were really limited. They were just these little microcosm pieces of collect some soup, collect, let's do a canned food drive. And not that those things aren't helpful and impactful, but we had all these students, hundreds of students, who had never had the opportunity to be involved on a big scale. Mm-hmm. And we also had all of these agencies who had never had the opportunity to interact with high school students. And so their perception of what a student was going to be like was very different from what they saw that day.
Yeah.
So from that day, just was really born the idea that we wanted to create a way to keep that engagement going more than just once a year. So we continue with Student Service Day, but that fall we launched something called our Student United Way Board, which you got to be a part of. You were in early stages of that. And it's been a really strong, that the group varies a little bit every year, just depending on membership and kind of, one year we had some lag in the winter because there were so many snow days that we lost to spring break. So lots of things can kind of influence the pattern and the frequency. But it's remained a really core program for us. And this year we're actually reaching out and engaging across 5 high schools. And it's a strong group, and it's just been really powerful in the community. It's really been a powerful platform to feature high school students and let people see what your generation has to offer and really see some of the really valid pieces of your generation that sometimes are missed and overlooked.
Yeah, I will just say, being on the board and discussing new ideas and new topics on, what we can do to make a change in the community that I'm living in felt really good, and I love doing that. And I enjoyed my time being on the
Do you think we could get you back as a consultant piece on our Student United Way board?
Maybe
after hours on our time.
Well, I had to try.
Weekends available, I think.
Yeah, I can do weekends. So this doesn't have to be on the student-led board, but United Way in general, what current projects are you working on right now?
So in the sphere of volunteer work, we actually have some really big things on the horizon. One actually does have to do with our high school students. This is actually the first time we've really talked publicly about this. The information's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, but we had a corporate sponsor reach out this year, and they said, we'd really like to invest a large gift in the arena of prevention of substance use disorder. And so a little bit of that was a head scratch for us, because everybody's doing lots of things, and some things are working and some things are not, and some things we're not even sure if they're working yet. But as we had more conversations with this company, what we came down to is they wanted to do something in the arena of high school students. And so again, with lots of conversation and facilitation, what we decided was, we're looking at your generation and saying, don't do drugs, DARE program, all of these things that we've been doing for years.
Yeah.
And the numbers are continuing to climb in the realm of addiction. So it's telling us that what we're doing is not working.
Right.
And so in the same way that we looked at you all and said, what do you want to do about hunger solutions? With the same way that we wanted to empower our Student United Way board, we are convening a task force of high school students across our entire region. And we're going to ask them to come into a space to discuss with us what would be impactful in the prevention arena, what would actually deter you, because what we're seeing as my generation as a deterrent, it's really not translating to your generation, because we're continuing to see, right now in the state of West Virginia, age of first usage is 13 for any substance. So we know that what we're doing isn't working. So we're actually going to be using that task force to create social media content. And so we have a couple of experts in the community that we've been able to put under contract with this great gift. And we're going to use high school students to craft and create social media content that will be available on loop for closed-circuit TVs in the schools, on our social media platforms, on their own social media platforms that are going to launch, and see if they can create the messaging that might be impactful.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able actually to use a leadership group that's going to track that data for a year. Get back to being a data junkie. So we're going to track that and see what we feel like the impact is in the community, and are your own voices impactful within your own peer group.
It makes sense.
So, yeah. So that's our next big thing coming. That's the exciting thing coming up. We're also stepping, over the next 4 months, you're going to see us come out with an announcement about a freestanding volunteer center in the downtown Parkersburg area.
Okay.
And we have a volunteer center that it lives in our office, but it's very limited space. But we just do so much volunteer matching. There are months that we're matching 4 to 6 corporate projects a month. We're connecting dozens and dozens of volunteers on a monthly basis. And with the addition of our Downtown Ambassador program, we've just outgrown our space. So we've also had a corporate partner step up, and we are still finalizing last details, but maybe we'll come back and announce we'll make the big announcement here someday, real soon, in just the coming weeks. But you're going to see us move to a freestanding volunteer center that's actually separate of our office.
Oh, that's really exciting. Talk to me about Day of Action.
I love Day of Action. So June 21st is the longest day of the year. And so that's the day that United Ways around the world choose to dub as Day of Action. So because we say you have more hours to give, there are more daylight hours that day. It's the most hours of service. This year it falls on a weekend, so we're actually going to be celebrating that on June 19th. So we're going to be short a few minutes there. But Day of Action is when we partner with businesses around the community and match them up to a corporate service opportunity. And last year we had about 34 teams that were out that day, giving a day of service. Really cool things happen when we do that. Folks go into a nonprofit and think that they're just going to paint walls for 6 hours, and they do paint the walls, but then they see what's happening in that nonprofit, and they start seeing anything from, wow, they're using computers that are from 1986 to, wow, they could really use volunteers every week. And so the opportunities for engagement are really exponential, and really amazing things always spin out as a result of Day of Action.
Talk to me about Laugh United. What's that about?
Well, that's our big comedy show coming up in April. So that's right around the corner.
Can anybody go there to volunteer if they wanted to?
Absolutely. The way to connect with us right now, because we're in a little bit of transition as we go through this growth period, is honestly just to jump on our website and shoot us an email and say, this is what I'm interested in, or pick up the phone and call our office. And say, I'm an individual, I want to volunteer every Tuesday, or I have a scout troop and we're looking for a one-time project, and absolutely anything in between. Like I said, we're just matching projects constantly, and I think we're really successful with that for a few reasons. Partly because we really have a finger on the pulse of the community, and so we know who's really struggling for volunteers or who has a big upcoming project, and we try to make good matches. We try to make sure that where we match you is something that's really conducive to your corporate culture, or maybe the priorities within your company.
Okay, that's cool.
So we really do customize those matches.
What's AmeriCorps?
What's AmeriCorps? AmeriCorps is a national service program, and we actually have 2 AmeriCorps members serving with us right now. Our first step down the AmeriCorps path was last year, and we actually have 2 in our office for this year. We have one gal who is doing program support for us, so she really is just liaison for all of the programs and initiatives coming out of our office, and we have one who her service project is supporting 211 for the year.
Okay.
And so they really are just, they're staff members in our office. They're just like any other team member.
And anybody can do it, or is there
So you apply
criteria?
through the AmeriCorps program, and they actually receive a living stipend for their year of service. So it's a little different than actually getting wages. I mean, it's just a little bit different language. But they also get an educational stipend. So when you complete a year of service with AmeriCorps, I think right now the kind of the going rate on that educational stipend is just around $6,000 that you can either apply for forward for college or vocational opportunities, or you can actually use to credit towards student debt that you've already incurred in your program. So AmeriCorps is a really amazing program, particularly I think for lots of niches that it's really strong for young professionals that are just getting some work experience under their belt and kind of, finding the niche where they belong.
So I would probably benefit.
You would be a great AmeriCorps.
You said
He's not going to let me come back.
young professionals. Can I pace am I too young or too old to be a young professional?
You are not, and you could no, we have AmeriCorps of all ages, and if you're over and there's a threshold, and I believe it may be, I want to say it might be 55, but don't quote me on that. It's right around that range.
Well below 55.
I know, I'm closer than I'd like to admit. But you can actually use your educational stipend, or you can gift it to a family member. So
cool.
a lot of times through the AmeriCorps program, you'll see someone who's retired, but really would like to still be in the workforce.
Yeah.
So they'll collect their living stipend,
I'll get a bunch
and then
of people involved and donate it to me. And,
there you go, pay off the student loans.
Yeah, there you go. It's one of those things. Well, Stacy, I appreciate you swinging by. We
Thanks
could talk.
for having
We
me.
could talk forever because
We
there's
could.
so much that the organization does. So we'll definitely have to have you back to go over some of the things that are going on down the road.
Okay. I'm already looking forward to it.
Cool. Is there going to be a big to-do when I officially join this 365 program?
There's going to be a huge to-do.
Okay.
So we'll
I
probably
expect
live
that.
social media stream that when we come out to put the decal
I
in your
expect
window.
that, yes.
I don't know, I'll schedule ahead, see if we can get some press coverage.
Hopefully, I inspire other insurance agents
I
out
hope
there,
that you do.
or any other small business to be involved.
I hope you're the first domino in that row.
Yeah, because I think I definitely know it's important to support the nonprofit world, which in turn supports the community being
Absolutely.
healthy. So when I go to hire people or go to write insurance for people, it helps everybody involved in our communities.
You'd like to see low
healthy.
A1Cs and low cardiac rates, and absolutely.
Yep. Well, again, thanks for swinging by, and we
Thanks
will
for letting
definitely
me.
catch up down the
Okay.
road. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe or follow us for more videos like this.